Sorry, I hit the button on my phone when I went to take her off of her leash. So like everything started to happen with all of that, and I just was like in this headspace of like, oh my gosh, like here it is, the, you know, population control, all that kind of stuff. I'm looking at all of the news reports, and then there was like, you know, it was very evident that there was something fishy going on. And I'm not going to really get into like everything about that, because if you're watching this and you're, you know, you've come to some understanding about things too, like we don't need to get into it. We don't need to think about, you know, what I think of everything, because if, you know, and everybody's allowed to believe what they believe. I know many people who, you know, have different beliefs than me, and that's totally cool. But like, I'm watching all this stuff about like, you know, the hospitals seeming like they're full and then they're actually not. And like, there was this like whole element to it where like mostly, and to bring it back to like my personal experience, mostly like my experience with it was that, you know, like everything was crashing down around me, and everything that I had gotten into with these conspiracy theories was like literally playing out before my eyes. And so I kept trucking through my quit though, and I remember thinking though, and you know, to get into, like I said, some of the stuff that was positive about this is like, yeah, it was like everything slowed down at once. Everything was, you know, I hadn't been leaving the house at all. And for, you know, probably a solid like year and a half at this point. Come on, Peanut. And it was like everything else, the world around me also reflected that. And so I did find this like strange peace in it. You know, like the whole social distancing thing, like quarantining, like all of that kind of stuff. Like, you know, I remember thinking to myself and even saying it to my husband, I'm like, you know, this is just business as usual for me. I, you know, felt bad for other people that were going through, you know, the changes and stuff from it, because like I understood that there were a lot of, you know, people who are a lot more extroverted than me. You know, I wasn't working at the time, so it didn't affect my job. Thankfully, my husband's job was able to adapt to everything, and they were able to go on to virtual music lessons at their shop, because he runs a music shop. I don't think I've ever mentioned that before. And they went to online sales too for like their actual physical products. So like, thankfully, you know, things were okay in our world. And I knew a lot of people who that wasn't the case for. But it definitely, like, you know, for me going through that part of the quit, it was like, all right, well, business as usual. And now that I'm 3 years out, and something just crossed my path recently that reminded me of that time, that reminded me of, you know, the whole pandemic stuff and the whole like shut-in and all of that. And it reminded me of it. And I was reflecting for a second and being like, man, that was crazy. That was a crazy time. That was a crazy circumstance. I'm so thankful. I'm so completely thankful that it happened when it did. Oh, I love these so much. We have these native beach grasses that grow in this area, and I absolutely love them. I think they are so beautiful. I don't know if you can even see them in this shot, but I love wispy, beautiful grasses like that have like kind of their own look to them. Yeah, so what a crazy time. I'm so thankful that things worked out when they did, and that I was able to move forward as the rest of the world, you know, came back to life and started to resume and go into what it needed to go back into, it was just like perfect timing to be able to as well, you know, go into like the next life that where, you know, where my life was going and like the next part of my life that I was supposed to live. It really helped with things professionally, because as I changed things around as far as like my career focus, and I did some online studying in some different things that I'm interested in, and it was just the perfect time to be able to do that and to be able to switch gears, so that when it came time to go ahead and apply for another job, I was able to, you know, use the whole, like, you know, the timing and everything with the pandemic as a way to just explain the switching of gears that I went through on my career path. So it ended up being like the best time possible. And I want to end this video and this little, you know, sharing and reflecting on my quit with that, like, you know, wherever you're at. Let me get Peanut and get her into the water. She's going to be eating. Peanut, you're eating too much salad. Peanut. Peony, come on, let's go. Peanut. Come on, let's go right now. Peanut, come on. Say hi. Hi, Peanut. She has bulldog in her, so she has that snorting thing, like grunting and that snorting thing. But yeah, wherever you're at in your quit, whatever the timing is, it may not seem like it's going to be the right time. It may not seem like, you know, life, like you may not be as fortunate as, you know, life standing still. You know, maybe the pandemic for somebody else would have been a harder time to quit because of the stress and the pressure. I know, and I've heard of a lot of people like drinking more and like, you know, doing different things during the pandemic as a way to cope. And so, you know, maybe the timing of my quit may not seem as great as the timing of your quit. You know, did I think when I was going through any of that it was the right timing? Did I think that, you know, like all of this, the reflections that I've just made now with you and realizing like, wow, you know, it was perfect timing to have it happen that way. And as things have played out, I've been able to see it a lot more. But that could be the same way with you too, that like, you don't, it's never, I'm going to be straight up. I don't know, maybe for other people, but like for me and in general, like there's never really going to be a good time to quit. There is always going to be a reason. There's always going to be like, oh, you know, it's not the right time. You know, I have this going on with work. I have this going on in my life. I have this stress. I have this, you know, loss. Whatever it is, you know, there's always going to be a reason why it's not a good time. And I share this, and I'm trying to bring it back full circle to something that could be helpful to you, that like, you know, oftentimes we're not going to know that it was the right time until we go through it and until we're able to look back on it. And, you know, the states of mind that we're in, the perspectives that we have when we're still in addiction and as we're going through our quit, those are going to change and evolve and grow as we move forward in our quit, in our recovery, in our sobriety. And so I wanted to share that with you, like where I was at, what my headspace was like, you know, coming out of that like hyper, like, you know, conspiratory state of mind and going into, you know, my quit, going into the pandemic, with that state of mind going on. And then, you know, to be able to move forward and be where I'm at now. And you guys, I may be 3 years in, but like, I still have a lot to go in recovery. You know, I'm coming from 15 years of weed addiction. That my 3 years is like, you know, once I think, and I don't know, maybe it'll never get to the point where, you know, I'm completely satisfied. I feel like I may hit that satisfaction when like I've lived my life fully and I've had more years of my life sober than I have in addiction. And so I think it's probably just, you know, subjective that all of us are different when it comes to that sort of thinking. But yeah, wherever you're at, and if you've quit, if you haven't quit, you know, maybe now's the time to consider it. If you've already quit, you know, reflecting and thinking back about like, you know, how things have moved forward for you and have changed, and how, you know, it may not have seemed like the best time at that point, but as it's played out, you're able to see why that time actually was best. Wherever you're at, I encourage you to take a moment and to think about, you know, whichever side you're on, if you haven't quit yet, that, you know, it's never going to be the right time. And so sometimes just making that choice to move forward is the one to go with. And if you've already quit, like thinking about how it's played out. Because as your life moves forward, you know, there are going to be opportunities, there are going to be experiences, there are going to be people that you're meant to meet. There are going to be, you know, different things that you're meant to do. And the longer that we stay in these addictions, the longer that those opportunities are either going to wait or we could miss them completely. That's something that as I reflect on this time as well, I realize that like, dang, if I did not get sober when I did, I would have missed some opportunities that would have really played out in a negative way over the course of a lot of years of my life. And the fact that I was sober and that I was able to pursue and take the opportunities that have come my way has literally changed the course of my life in a positive way. So I love you guys. This is just a little ramble. I love taking these walks with you and just sharing my thoughts and my reflections. And it's my hope that as you hear me reflecting on things and just sharing some different things that I've learned, that it can maybe help you to realize some different things about your path, and that maybe there's a chance that, you know, these videos and coming down to this beautiful lake here and spending time with Peanut over there eating her salad give you a quick moment of peace. And I don't want you to ever feel pressure that I'm like, oh, you know, it's never going to be the right time, maybe you should quit. That's not what it's about. It's just always, the way that I like to look at things is like, you know, let's look at the big picture. Let's look at all sides of this. It might not be the right time for you to quit right now, and I totally respect that. And wherever you're at in your process, you're welcome here. You're welcome to come on these walks with us and to spend time with us as we contemplate different aspects of what it is to be in this addiction and recovery process. And I'm honored and blessed that you're here with us, and I love you all, and I will see you in the next video. Look at this cool bumblebee that we'll end on. So cool. For the last however many minutes of this video, I'm just gonna walk around and look at more flowers, and because these videos are they're for you, but they're also kind of like a digital journal or a digital diary for me. And I really enjoy being able to revisit them, and especially as we start to get into other seasons of the year, and as you've seen in the other videos that we've been down here, it gets, when it's wintertime and it's cold and all this stuff is gone, it'll be nice to reflect back on it. So I'm gonna just take the end of this video and continue to look at all these pretty flowers and grasses and stuff. And you guys can just listen to the sound of the water. All right, love you guys. Listen to the sound of the peanut too.